Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We are back to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. This is the review for the 14th of March and preview for the 21st of March episode of Impact here on Access TV. So the show started with a bit of a recap package, and we kicked things off with Sabin and Ali rematch for the X Division Championship. Now, my thoughts going into this, that's Sabin wasn't going to win, because where's the logic in that, type thing. Turned out, well, that logic is pretty correct, and Sabin didn't pick up the win here. But this was a very good match. I don't know if you line up the two matches together. I do think that this one was probably better. It was more aggressive, certainly more aggressive. These guys, Sabin was on the outside, and he took out the personal security with a steel chair basically before the bell. And this match really reflected a lot of, Ali being in Sabin's head and getting him emotional and blah, 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 that kind of thing. The finish where Ali took the X title and was going to use it on Sabin, but then Sabin reversed, and Sabin was going to use it on Ali, but then Ali rolled Sabin up, and because he was too focused on that situation, he got the pin. But yeah, this was great fire work here, and I don't know where Ali goes from here. Really, it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, and how long he holds that title. That was the thing that I think we were kind of sitting on at first, being like, okay, cool, they're actually going in this direction. Or, well, it wasn't like that, but it was like, holy crap, they're going in this direction. I was thinking, man, what? Ali's going to come in and then lose and then have a few matches and then disappear. And I'm like, okay, well, why would they do that? Why would you stick around after you've lost, type thing, unless you're going to feud with somebody specific or something. It wouldn't have made much sense. So, but yeah, I do think that there's potential still for Kevin Knight down the road. That's me and my thinking, but I don't know. We'll have to keep our eyes glued to the situation in the X Division. They're certainly going to have to build something up for Rebellion, and they're going to have to build it up soon. So I don't know. No one's gotten a pin on Ali. So it's hard to do something, and you need a fiery babyface. And there aren't that many, not that there are none, right now in that division. You'd say Speedball Mike Bailey maybe, but he's in the tag team, and they're having a tag team match at the next show, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Here's the highlight of Mustafa Ali reversing Sabin and getting the roll-up pin here. Nemeth, Speedball, Mountain all had an interview backstage. They seemed a little all over the place with where this promo was going. I don't think it was really like fleshed out what they were saying. They were jumping all over each other to try to get through the promo and what they wanted to say and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, promoing the match coming up for them at the end of the night. We heard from Josh Alexander, the walking weapon. And, well, he cut a very impassioned promo, a very fiery promo, after losing in auspicious circumstances to Hammerstone. And said, hey, Hammerstone, get your ass out here. But then, Johnny Bravo, or Alpha Bravo, whatever you want to call him, came out and said, hey, we know you didn't really lose because of whatever you reckon you say, you were distracted or whatever it was. It was because Dango softened you up. And then he's like, oh, where's Dango? And, of course, Dango's behind him to try to sneak attack him, which basically led to a big brawl and Oleg Prudius getting in there. And then it was like a pull-apart brawl for a second or whatever. And Santino Marella came down and said, hey, you guys want to fight? You guys have got to fight. So Josh Alexander basically beat the snot out of Prudius and made him tap out. Wasn't much of a match or whatever, but yeah. Here's just the the preview of calling it a walking weapon, calling out Hammerstone, but instead he gets jumped by Dango. Did this just repeat? The website has just repeated. Anyway, whatever. Crazy Steve came out to cut a promo. And he basically said, no man alive can deal with the things that I have to deal with. And then PCO came out to come face to face with Crazy Steve. So it looks like we're getting those two in a match. I think it's happening at Rebellion. Actually, I think it might be happening next week. I'm not too sure, but it's probably going to really go down at Rebellion. So we will wait and we will see more from that. That was good. That was a good moment. Frankie Kazarian versus Ace Austin. This was quite a fire match. I liked seeing like Ace Austin and Chris Bay kind of get a little bit more of a rub in the singles realm. I don't know what they're kind of going to do with them as a team, but it's tough when you're kind of moving somebody along like this and they have a tag team title opportunity sometime, probably at Rebellion. But then again, I don't know. It's tough because then you don't really want to do that again. But it's also tough because it's like, well, who else is in that division? And the thing is, they're already the system already has a tag team match, so you've got to kind of do something with Ace and Bay. So it makes me wonder what they're kind of going to do with them. I don't really want to see either of them turn heel per se. So I don't want to see them break up like that. I'd rather see both of them getting into that main event more or less soon in the next year or so, because they've been there both of them have been there for a while, and both of them are starting to feel like, man, these young kids, it's, I don't know what, you need to kind of get there. You just need that timing to be right, so But anyway, with this one, I was thinking that that Kazarian would probably win this because it's not really like that important, and he did win this because he's about to face Eric Young probably in some sort of match, and Eric Young even came down to, scare off Frankie Kazarian after the match, and Frankie Kazarian was wailing on Bay and Austin. Here's a highlight of Ace Austin unleashing some furious fists and kicks and whatnot onto Kazarian. Here's a highlight where he unleashes his fury onto Ace Austin, but Eric Young steps in to save the day. The system had a promo and discussed how each of them is a decorated champion. One thing that they sort of didn't cover in this promo too well is a lot of the, not all of the accomplishments, but a lot of the tag team accomplishments that Edwards and Myers have, which actually is quite amazing between the pair of them. Both of them have 16 different world tag team titles. Perhaps not major ones, but each of them has 16 to their name. So combined, they effectively have 32 tag team title runs, which is insane. Like, that's right up there. Like, I know they're not all together with both these guys, but just the pure number of tag team titles that they've won in combined is, like, insane. Like, also, like, they didn't really count on everything that Moose has kind of done, like, or, they were, like, showing a graphic underneath, but, like they should have, like, gone a little bit deeper into each of them, like, I guess, but it's still good to kind of see, some of these stats, because that it is important to see those stats to sort of bring up the reason for it all and make the importance there. So you've got to, kind of put that, there. Gia Miller went to have an interview with Chris Sabin, but the grizzled young vets came in and said, hey, they're not the top team anymore, we're the top team. And Shelley said, hey, you want the top team? You've got the top team, me and Kushida. So now he's kind of putting himself and Kushida above the Motor City Machine Guns, like, which is a bit weird to me in some ways, because I feel like, the person who, threw in the towel for him was Kushida, but then maybe he feels like, oh man, Sabin wasn't there for him, and this and that, or whatever. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough, picture right now with these guys. It looks like they're about to break up, or Shelley might be turning heel, and or something, or they'll disband or something. I don't know. Tough to say. So yeah, but like I say, I don't want to see these guys break up that much either. It's always tough when you've got teams that people like, but eventually you've kind of got to dissolve them and do something else with them, kind of thing. They have their time in the sun, and it's tough to sort of do, especially since the tag team division is pretty thin, for the most part. But yeah, it's like, well, what are you gonna do when you've got a story like this? There's only so many ways to go. All right, AJ Francis versus Joe Hendry. I was thinking that Joe Hendry was gonna win this. I was wrong, because I felt like, hey, Moose is there and he needs challengers. Maybe I've got the timing a little bit wrong because, like, it might not quite be the time for Joe Hendry to face up against Moose, but at some point it will be. So I thought, oh, he will need this, and so he can start moving along. But, like, I think this feud will continue until Hendry does win. So that will be the end of the feud, per se, and then it'll move on from there with Hendry going after the world title, I feel like, at least for a little while. He probably won't win it, unfortunately, just in my opinion. Not yet, but he's, like Hendry's probably, besides Josh Alexander, the other top guy that's kind of a babyface right now in the company. So yeah, Dollar won this one, but not without some shenanigans involved at the end. And like I said, I wasn't super duper surprised, but I guess I'm somewhat surprised because Rich Swann betrayed Joe Hendry. I don't know, dude. Like, honestly, don't. Like, I didn't want to see Rich turn heel because he was such a lovable babyface. So I hope that whatever he's gonna do is good. Like, I can't disbelieve that it'll be bad or believe that it'll be bad or whatever, but I just don't know. I think it's like the devil you know type thing or whatever. It's like, man, I really liked it. I liked the status quo, and I wanted to see it continue. I just wanted to keep, seeing Rich being this lovable goof, and dancing and whatnot. I wasn't that surprised, as I sort of said. And you can see here in this highlight that where they're both going for the chair. Swann slides in, says "Nuh-uh" to your shenanigans, and then obviously he hits Hendry after a stall, trying to bait it in. But yeah, I don't know, dude. It feels like there's a shit ton of heels. That's what I think. It just feels like, man, there's a shit ton of heels. There's hardly any baby faces. So, I don't know. Next, Alan Angel sound check with Ash by Elegance. She's having her third match. That's it. That's all was basically communicated here, but she was getting her heat, and whatnot. So, Spitfire in action. They were up against some jobbers. I said that they'd win. They won because they were up against some jobbers. But MK Ultra came out, and so did K to watch the match. And you can see this highlight here of Spitfire being victorious. I feel like it's obvious they're trying to, like, set up for a triple threat tag team match. So it's probably happening at Rebellion, as I said. So wait and see for more development for that. Tasha Steelz came out and interrupted just before the main event, asking for a singles match, basically saying, hey, I never got pinned in that triple threat, so I want a match next week. You can see the highlight here of that. So that's going to go down next week. We'll talk more about some of the stuff here that's going down against next week, just in a few moments, but I will cover the main event before we get there. By God. This match was really good. This match was so good, man. I did think perhaps that the feud with Macklin and Nemeth would continue, So I thought that Macklin and his team would win, but that didn't really go down, and Nemeth won. Oh, well, yeah, Nemeth and his team won. I feel like Nemeth is a little bit overpushed and just a little bit, looks a little bit too good at times as far as, like, some of the stuff that he does. Like, it just doesn't look like he's ever really in that much jeopardy. And that's storytelling. Like, you need to get that. You need, like, and I know he knows this stuff. Perhaps it'll be happening soon, so I don't want to take too much away from anything, and he knows what better than what some people do, perhaps even me, but still, like, he's just looks so unbeatable and indestructible, and just like that doesn't feel right. It just feels like, man, this guy looks like, he's just gonna walk in and get the title, like, or whatever. But I guess that's like the downfall of it when he finally doesn't do it. But we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. It's if like I'd hate to see that, Moose loses it to Nemeth at this point. I just feel like it's the wrong timing. But yeah, in this match, the Rascals also said stuff you, Macklin, basically, since Macklin hit Trey with a scud to the outside while he was trying to hit Trent Seven. And they walked off before the end of the match, and then the trio basically finished off Macklin at the end. Yeah, you can see a highlight here of Nemeth being on fire. After the match, the System hit the ring, attacking the baby faces, allowing them to knock them down and take them out. You can see this highlight here, even with like the match that they just had. You can see that Nemeth is just like up on his feet and not really taking down these guys that are fresh, like, until like they really take him down and get the numbers on him. So it feels like he's just like a little bit too big right now and needs to be like swolled down a bit. All right, but anyway, that is leading to Rebellion, where both Speedball Mountain will face the System in a tag match for the titles, but we'll talk more about that in a upcoming Rebellion discussion, and a match between Moose and Nemeth for the TNA title at Rebellion. Next week, Grizzled Young Vets versus the Time Splitters. Crazy Steve versus PCO for the Digital Media Championship. Now, it feels very weird that Crazy Steve is having all of these, like, not random, but like matches that are just on TV. He's not being built up to being something happening on pay-per-view or whatever. But I feel like, again, as I sort of said, that this match won't really end the feud between those two. This is just like the starting blocks for this feud. A lot like his match with Rhino. It just sort of felt like, oh yeah, the first one's kind of just like the setup match. It's whatever, it'll happen. Although the second match was the bigger match and the better match, in my opinion. I felt like since it was on Explosion, it kind of fell a little lower, even though it was the main event, though that show has two matches, so, well, a retro match and two real matches, so, but yeah, Ash by Elegance in action, unless she's actually facing, like, somebody other than a jobber, she's winning. Like, and even if she's facing, like, someone other than a jobber, like someone like Brookside, who it seems like they've got something kind of brewing there, then then she's probably still winning. So yeah, there's a lot more other stuff that they are going to have on this card, probably, because it says plus more, but Tasha Steelz and Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts world title. I'm pretty sure that'll main event. You know, even though this is like the 50th time they've had this match, I'm glad that they're kind of doing it in a different way and just being like, okay, this is a TV match or whatever. The problem I feel for Grace in her title reign right now is like the opposite problem that I feel like for the heavyweight and upper card, is that there's just not nearly enough heels that are very established. Like there is Ash by Elegance, but she's not very established yet. And the quintessential diva just lost, and there's like no one else in the division right now. So it's like really tough. You could put Savannah Evans in there, but she's already lost her like twice. You could get back like Angelina Love. I wouldn't mind seeing Angelina again. I'm sure that the TNA faithful wouldn't mind seeing her again. You know, I don't know what the situation sort of is with Anthem and all of that stuff, because it feels like again, they don't want to put too much into TNA. They've already said, oh, we want to cut the budget back as much as we can. Or just increase like the way it makes money. Something that did come out was that they said, hey, we want to do it live from a certain arena. I'm kind of all for that, because that is one big thing that I feel like TNA kind of needs to do, because we know that they could get better numbers on the channel that they're on just based on people watching during the pandemic, and I'm sure that they get better numbers now than what they did back then, or close to that numbers at least. Because then people would have to tune in because it's live, and you're not going to know what's going to happen. Having it out of one location, like, it's going to be really tough, in my opinion, for them to get one location locked down every Thursday night, or whatever. But if they can do that, I think they should. I want to talk a little bit more about that situation and what I think a bit about it a bit more in depth. So I might do a specific video on it at some point soon. But yeah, we'll have to keep cooking and keep figuring out what we're going to do with that. As I sort of said, I think Ash by Elegance, she really needs to have like a feud with Xia Brookside. So I feel like almost that Xia will feature in this match somehow, or maybe post-match somehow, so that they can set up a match between them. Maybe at Rebellion. I don't know. Probably just a TV. I don't know. But then again, you could have like 2 matches. But then again, that sort of feels, I don't know, off. You could sort of have a tag team match with like Ash. I don't know. Like, who's Xia gonna team with? Not too sure. I mean, obviously Ash can tag with Tasha. Like, I don't know. But no. But still, guys, that is my thoughts for now. For next week, as I said, we'll be doing that Rebellion thing pretty soon. Just like the cliff notes, as I sort of said, for now. But yes, we will have a bit more of a look at it now in the next couple of days. But hope you have enjoyed this one, and hope you will join me again for the next one.